can. All right, awesome. Let's do it. All right, cool. So, the first thing that I was gonna kind of share with you guys, well, number one, that call, like right now, I not like rethinking stuff, but just like a lot more clarity. And Jason said it best with, with everything that he was going over, like setting the right expectations. Because how many times have we had people, ask us about the building side or, say they want to, build, but they don't have the right expectations for what this is. And Jason like literally broke it down perfectly. He said people will try to, whether they're trying to trade or they're trying to build, they'll go out, and start, and their excitement, because it's ignorance on fire, will only get them so far. So we have to obviously have a system in play that sets the right expectations. And that video with Jim Rohn, building your network marketing business, that video as being number one first thing that people tap into is so foundational with setting the right expectations, the proper principles, and the mindset of like, yo, this is what you're actually getting into. And by setting the right expectations, you understand that you're gonna fail. And I think so many people miss that part of everything. That it's not even about trading or building. They just miss the fact that you're gonna fail. Your process involves you making mistakes, falling down, picking yourself back up. Like I was on a call with my cousin this morning that got started the other day, and he was talking to me about a couple of things. And I said, bro, like society literally teaches us backwards on, how to handle our process. They don't teach us to, to accept failure. They teach us to fear making mistakes and all these other things. So setting the right expectations as soon as somebody gets started, whether they're going to trade and build. So the other thing that he said too, yeah, he said this: tools are what truly create the system. Staying close to the foundation. So the biggest thing with that, guys, is, I mean, I'll just show you right now. And please don't get mad at me, but I'm always going back to the system that we have. Whether you guys want to leverage it or not, I am, because it's just so simple to plug people into. But this document, this whole thing is called Tools and Resources. Jason says tools create the foundation. Tools create the system. And the one thing that he said on here, I think Matt said it, so many notes, oh my God. Are you building your team, or are the systems and the tools that you have going to actually build and create the leaders? He said at the end of the call, I don't build my organization, I build leaders, and the leaders go out and build the organization. And that's how we have to operate. There's just a level of posture, the way that we do things. So this is a system that I've been leveraging. If you guys like it, leverage it, send it to people, because whether you're trading, you can start right here, or if you're building, you can come down here. And everything, like, guys, I'm still going through this every day. I'm tapping into it, so you guys can do this too. Yeah, cool. So I just wanted to bring that up, and then I'm gonna stop sharing this, and I'm going to show you guys something really quick. So the one thing that I wanted to talk about on this call specifically, I mean, there's not much more to say. Jason and Matt and Austin, they shared everything when it comes to the foundation and the basics. But I do just want to touch on exposures and follow-ups and go in a little bit more detail right now, and we can have a discussion about it, because I know I've had a lot of questions about this, not from you guys, but actually other people that are curious and want to step up and build. But the first things first on this. Okay, let me just start here. Let me name these couple things first, because I had this on the list and I didn't want to forget. But let me share this with you guys, okay? I had a guy get started the other day, or the other week, and he basically sent me a message. This is kind of crazy. He sent me a message earlier this week basically saying, hey, Abby, I really appreciate everything you've done so far, but I'm going to have to cancel my membership. And that's probably the worst thing that you could get a text about. And basically something came up, and I sent him a message back, and I'm telling you this, guys, because there's a purpose, trust me. And I sent him a message back, and I basically said, I appreciate you for communicating with me and keeping in touch. And I said, with everything else on the side, how has your experience been so far with the academy? And he was like, I absolutely love the training, the atmosphere. Like, I didn't expect to pick up things really quickly or as fast as I am. The videos, the live mentors, like he loves everything. Like it's jaw dropping, he said. And I was like, awesome, dude. And then basically I sent him a voicemail or a voice note, and I bottom line said, look, man, I totally get it. Things come up, things happen. Challenges are always going to be there, problems, but I want to challenge the way that you are going about. Let me just play this really quick, because long story short, because I said what I said and I didn't just let him go, or I didn't try to convince him, I just gave him a different perspective. Just listen. This is so cool.
Sounds good, brother. Anything in between?
Just listen.
As far as if you know anybody who would want to learn this skill set, would want to be a part of this community, please feel free to connect us or put us in a chat, whatever it takes. I'm seriously at a loss for words with what this has done for me. Like, if you just look at my post that I put in the chat earlier today, it's ridiculous. And I want to challenge you, bro. Like, I want to challenge to see if you're able to actually plug into this, even if it's for 5 to 7 hours a week. While you're in the military. I know you're not going to have a consistent schedule, but challenging you to see if 5 to 7 hours a week is something that you can do, because I'm telling you, bro, I'm telling you, because it really is that simple. I think a lot of people, a big misconception is people think you need a lot of time to do this, and you really don't. And that's why I like to challenge the way that people think and perceive their world, because you really don't need a lot of time to do this. 5 to 7 hours a week, plugging in, even if you don't have a consistent schedule, we can really find time to do that. And I would really.
Anyways, y'all get my point. I wanted to share that part about me basically just being upfront with him and saying, yo, I want to challenge the way that you're thinking about this, the way that you're going about this, because you don't want to let just one problem, one thing that comes up, stop you. It would be a shame for you to come into this only 2 weeks and decide that you can't do this anymore. That's like the worst thing that we want. That's like the worst possible thing that could happen. And again, we have to operate as if people are going to quit as soon as they get started, because it can happen. But bottom line is, we have a conversation and he sends me a voice note back saying, this is me, so-and-so, promising to myself and for you, holding me accountable, that I will not cancel my membership and I will stay consistent and persistent, find the time, make the time, because this is a priority for me. I'm sharing this with you because all we need to do is just shift the way that people think about this. Jason and Matt said it on the call. People quit because of the lack of education, a lack of understanding. He thought that this was going to take a lot more time, and thinking, all these, like what he was telling me, I was like, bro, no, we just need to set the right expectations, right? And let them know, like, hey, this is completely doable. This is this, and that. So if you guys ever come across a situation like that, whether, they're messaging you about this or something else, understand that it's okay to challenge the way that they think about things. We don't need to go out and convince them and, the whole 9 yards. We just need to shift their perspective, shift the way that they think, because the reason why they're backing away or quitting or whatever it is just a lack of understanding of how this really works. And also not really understanding the priority of, yo, you started this because you want financial freedom, remember? Okay, so I wanted to share that with you. So people follow people. Yeah. People follow people. Other thing I was going to say on that, people follow people that know where they're going. And when we challenge the way that they think about things, people will respect you a lot more, not just for agreeing with them. It would have been so easy for me to just be like, oh man, best of luck to you, blah, 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 or trying to convince them. But people are going to respect, and not only respect, but trust you and give you a lot more credibility, because you challenge the way that that they think. and you're coming from a genuine place. I think that's the biggest key, is you're coming from a genuine place, not to keep the sign up, but to actually, like, bro, do you remember why you signed up in the first place? You're 2 weeks in. What are you doing? So you're coming from that place. So I want to share that with you guys. Hopefully that will help you guys down the road. So exposures and follow-ups, just a couple things to touch on, and then we'll open it up. But basically, guys, couple key points that I just want to share with you, and we can kind of bounce ideas off of this and what's been working and what's not. Basically, with exposures and follow-ups, I think sometimes we operate as if, we work today to get a sign up, get an exposure for today. We don't think about what the work that we do today, overflowing in 90 days, 180 days, 6 months, 12 months, so on and so forth. We work for today. And I think we need to shift the mindset of the work that we do today. Just because we expose someone today doesn't mean they're going to get started today or tomorrow or next week. Okay. We work today. So we have so our fruit of our labor shows up in 90 days. So that way, we were on the call last night with Cash Cartier, and he was talking about how, when you get into a situation in your business where, maybe your pipeline, maybe your signups aren't as frequent, but because you did the work 90 days ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, there are people now hitting you up to get started. And that momentum and that push, because you did work a year ago, is now paying off now. That's what's going to help you. So, and that's what's going to allow your pipeline to always be flowing. But the way that I used to operate is only working for today. Does that make sense? I think a lot of times we get discouraged because we think that the work that we do right now is supposed to come to fruition like right away, tomorrow, next week. But in reality, half the time I expose people, they don't get started right away. Most of the times, the people that I expose today do not get started for another 30 days, 2 months. And we don't have the right expectations. So when we don't see, the consistency in our physical results compared to, what the actions that we're actually taking, we get discouraged and we think that this isn't working, and then we stop working. And our lack of consistency is why we don't have a consistent flow of pipeline. Our pipeline isn't always flowing. I think that is such a great point to make, because I've experienced it multiple times, and I thought that I wasn't good enough. I thought that I couldn't actually, bring on people consistently, when in reality, I just was not consistent in my actions. I would get exposures here and there. I'd pick up and stop. Every day. It's every day. Jason Brown says all the time, just start talking to 10 people. Add and open up 10 new conversations every day. That's it. And go from there. So I'll just read this to you guys, but basically, never rely on one person to get started and make a decision. Don't hold all of your chips in one person. On to the next. All we're doing, guys, is collecting decisions. It's a yes or a no, or not right now, whatever. Okay. But when you show up, I'm just reading my notes because I wrote this the other day. Basically, when you operate that way and you function with that mindset and you show up with that mindset, it shows in your energy and your actions. People know when you're begging and convincing them. People know. Okay. So we don't want to do that. We obviously want to posture up, let people come to us when they're ready. And if we in any stage of, exposing somebody, if we need to convince or force anyone to get started, then there's no desire for them to actually get started in the first place. If we need to convince somebody or beg somebody to get started, sometimes even throwing incentives to people isn't a real desire. I don't always like to do incentives. The only time I really like to do incentives personally is if we're like really close to somebody's next rank or whatever it is. But just to do incentives, maybe, hey, bro, if you get started, I'll send you $50, $50 off of your membership. I don't always like to do that or I only will do it when it's necessary. Maybe, somebody needs one more person to hit a rank or whatever it is. But I always like to do that because now they're getting started because I'm waving a shiny object at them. Money. there's a lack of a desire. And when somebody comes in without a desire, they're going to quit, because they're coming in based on, that incentive, that shiny object, or they're coming in to fulfill a need. And once they fulfill that need, there's no desire, and they've fulfilled it, and then they get complacent and they quit. So everything is, there's a method, what they say, to my madness. And I'm learning all this from people like Matt and Jason. So biggest thing, guys, never rely on one person to get started and make a decision. I just want to make that super, super clear. Just on to the next. Don't wait around for somebody to get started. Expose, collect, decision, move. Expose, collect, decision, and move. Next thing I was going to say is write down. Everybody should do this. Just get very, very clear, because when you get very, very clear with this, you start to operate with that energy, okay? So write down your ideal customer avatar. What does your ideal customer avatar look like? So for example, mine, I have this written on my whiteboard in my room. The ideal customer for me, they've got to be coachable. Before I even send them an exposure, I voice note saying, I'm only working with serious individuals, those that are coachable. Every time you guys intro on the Zoom overviews, I make it apparent that I describe you as being very consistent, very coachable. You have a level of desire. I describe those qualities on the calls, because I'm setting the expectation of, if you're not coachable, I'm not going to work with you, and you're just not going to be able to do this. So write out your ideal customer avatar. What does that look like? What are the qualities, the characteristics? For me, they've got to be coachable. They have to have a desire, a hunger, a willingness, okay, to do this, and a PMA, a positive mental attitude. If you're coming with me with only problems and no solution-oriented mentality, not going to work. I can't show up in Mike's inbox all the time with just problems. I have to come in with, I've already tried to search for the solution or propose a solution, and then we figure it out. Like, it's just got to be that way. So when you identify what your ideal customer characteristics and qualities look like, you'll show up a lot more professional, a lot more serious, as well as a lot more postured when you're in the DMs, in the inbox, and on calls. Guys, I'm reading my notes if I sound a little different, but basically, guys, remember know what you want and qualify people to work with you in that way. Number one, they're going to respect you a lot more when you approach conversations and in business, and whether they're going to join you or not, at the end of the day, we get to choose who we want to work with. This is not a job. When you work at a job, you don't get to choose who you sit next to, who your manager is, who you get to work with, yada, yada. Here, we get to choose. So write it down. Get clear, because then you're going to operate that way. And then the universe is going to see, oh, wow, he or she is operating at a different frequency. So then you're going to start to attract those types of people. Cool? We leverage and duplicate and only work with the willing. Period. End of story. Last thing I will say is always keep things moving. Okay, I think this is so huge. One thing that I've always realized is not struggle. It's just, I need to be more consistent with my follow-ups. So if I notice that I'm not, my signups are not as consistent, it's usually because I haven't been super consistent with my follow-ups. I can get exposures, I can add and start new conversations, but when it comes to follow-ups, that is something I know I need to be more consistent with. Okay, so always keep things moving. And what I mean by this is never keep the conversation between just you and your prospect. So never keep the conversation between just you and the person that you're talking to. So for example, a lot of times we're in conversations and I get people all the time telling me, Abby, I can never get an exposure, or, I got somebody exposed, but, conversation's not going anywhere. They're not deciding if they're going to get started. They're beating around the bush. They're not responding. Well, that's because we tend to go down the rabbit hole of meaningless conversations, and we never actually get to the point of collecting a decision. Okay. We want to keep things moving and get them to make a decision. Sometimes I've done this too. We stay in the conversation with them because we think that we're going to, get an answer out of them When in reality, like, because we're holding on to that, the outcome of them saying yes, that, they're going to sign up. They're going to sign up. And in reality, they're probably not going to sign up anytime soon. Or if you just put them in a group chat with me, then we'll actually collect a decision, whether it's a yes or a no or not right now. Okay. That's all we're doing. I don't care if somebody says yes or no. I just want to hear them say yes or no. I just want a decision collected. Don't be attached to the outcome. Okay. So the biggest thing here is don't get caught up in just being in conversation with your prospect. You need to, as soon as this is how the system works. Okay. 3 things before you get us in a group chat or a 3-way call. Number 1, always make sure that they watched a live Zoom or a video. Check. Okay. Number 2, you have to ask them, what did they like best about the video? What did they like best? Did they see value? I can't tell you guys how many times I'll get into group chats with people and they have no idea what they like best about the video. I don't even know if they saw value. If they didn't see value, why are we in the group chat? Okay. You have to get clear on what they like best and if they saw value in the video. Because if they see value, we can answer any of their questions if it comes down to price or whatever it is. But you have to determine what they like best. And then what you do is you relate to them. Say they say, I love the fact that there's, live mentorship 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Bro, me too. Like, I'm in there, so I'm in there more than I'm watching Netflix, however you want to relate to them, okay? And then what you want to do is ask them a question. So relate and then ask a question. Do you have any questions for me? Is this something you see yourself getting started with? I pull that question right away. I'm not trying to beat around the bush. So I'll ask that. What do they like best? Do you have any questions? Is this something you see yourself getting started with? They're going to tell you. And if they leave you on red, stop dwelling on them, put them in your follow-ups, and move on. We get so caught up with somebody after we get the exposure that we can't even move on to the next person. And I'm saying this from a place of, I've been there, I've done that too, okay? So ask them, do you have any questions? Is this something you see yourself getting started with? Just lay it out. They're going to say yes or no, or they're going to say, I have some questions. And then once you get them to answer you, what you want to do is get them in a group chat or schedule a 3-way call. Honestly, a group chat is a lot easier because once we're in the chat, we can determine if we even need to get on a call, and then we can just schedule it there and have accountability. You can leverage me. Or if we don't need to, we can just collect a decision and help them get started, and you guys can get on a launch call. So once you ask them those questions, you introduce us in the chat, and basically what you can do once you get us in the group chat, I'll share this with you guys so you can see. I'm basically just reading my notes. So right here, introduce us in the group chat. Let me know what they liked about the academy. So that way, like, okay, I understand where they see value and if they have any questions. The biggest thing is like, yes, I want you to edify me. And don't worry, like when you get in group chats with your team, you want your people to edify you because there's a level of trust and credibility and respect. But I have to know where these guys are coming from. Just let me know a little bit. Hey, so-and-so's out in Arizona. They watched the live Zoom. They watched the video. They really liked, the live mentorship. They've got a couple questions about getting started. Super simple. And then just edify me. This is Abby, blah, blah, blah. She's helped me do X, Y, Z, whatever. Okay. And all we're doing now is just collecting a decision and figuring out when they want to get started. You're putting them in a group chat to leverage somebody else's credibility. And honestly, guys, you're leveraging, like, they know you, but when they can see somebody else have success, it's different. Okay. All right. Anyways, if they don't want to get started right now, just put them on your follow-up list and follow up, 3 to 6 months out, whatever it may be. But that was it, guys. This is the biggest thing that I wanted to go over with you. Just keep things moving. Have a system for yourself. That's why we have something like this. If you haven't gone through these videos, take the time to do so. I promise you, I've been going through these, and every time I plug in, I'm building my posture. I'm building my belief. I'm growing my confidence within myself. And if you feel like, you don't have the posture or the confidence that you desire, plug in. Just cop on one of these videos. Everything is in step-by-step order. This is number 1, number 2, number 3, so on and so forth. And then plug into the live sessions on Go Live. Every time I plug in, I'm like, oh my God, I know why I'm here. Let's go. So that is what I wanted to really just kind of nail and hammer down with you guys, because I've just had a lot of questions with that. Hopefully that was helpful. But I do want to hear from you, whether it's touching on this, something that you're experiencing, or something to add. Please open up and feel free to share. Everybody's good? All right. I'm going to assume we are all Gucci. I will say shortly.
Oh, wait. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go for it, bro.
All right. Now, so what you were saying, just to catch up, I was listening to Joe Rogan podcast, and Kevin Hart was on it, and Kevin Hart was saying, he goes, look, it's not about what we're doing for today, it's what we're building for tomorrow. And you know, what you were saying, too, you know, we got to look at this, like Mikey says, the law of 90 days, where it's like, you're not going to see results. You might not see results until day 89, and then day 90, that's when the whole fucking thing explodes the way you want it to, right? But just with everything going on, like, for example, my friend Brandon, he was part of the company like 3 years ago, like when I first got started, and he left. And then being consistent with him, just being his friend, because me and him have been friends for like 10 years. And it's crazy because the other day, like last week, he goes, dude, I'm so happy for you. Congrats on P600. You know, congrats on everything. And I was like, bro, I truly appreciate it. He goes, dude, I'm ready. I'm like, oh, so you're ready to, like, I'm like, you ready to rock and roll? He goes, yes. I'm like, so send you my link. Are you ready to get started? He goes, no, I still have it. I was like, oh, you still have it? He goes, yeah, I already signed up. And I was like, shit, dude, okay. Like, it goes to show that no matter what, people are watching. Like, even when you post something and people don't respond to it or react to it, people are still watching. Because I literally had someone reach out to me saying, bro, I'm so happy for you with everything you're doing. And this is someone I haven't talked to since high school. And they're like, bro, we're all watching. And I was like, holy shit. And even Rachel was telling me, she's like, Tony, you have more responsibility now. You know, being P600, you have that responsibility. You have people looking up to you. And that's, you know, and it's not even like an ego trip, but it's true because it's like, you know, we want to be those leaders. We want to be the people that impact other people. But it's like, we have to have that posture. We want to have that system that we have, you know, working for us because realistically it's working. We got to make it work. You know, we got to just apply it and teach it to people the right way. Because like you were saying about that guy who, you know, who signed up for a week and then stopped. It's like, bro, it's like 1 week. You don't plant a bamboo tree one day and expect it to grow, you know, within a year. For a bamboo tree, it takes 5 years for the seed to break through the soil and then it just explodes. Like, that's the way business is. The whole thing. It's like, you got to plant it, you got to water it, you got to nurture it, take care of it, and then boom, you know, when it's ready to sprout, it'll sprout. If it doesn't, it's out of our control. Like Jim Brown says, you know, it's like the sower who kept on sowing. You know, you plant the seed, you plant the seed, you plant the seed. The weeds are gonna get some, the birds are gonna get some, the hot heat's gonna, you know, kill them. But no matter what, you gotta keep loving, nurturing that plant, and sooner or later they're gonna sprout. But yeah, that's kind of my little rant.
Facts, bro. Facts. Appreciate you for sharing. And Tony's story is pretty incredible. I mean, I know we've said this a couple times, but the fact that he's been in the company for 3 years, for somebody that's coming in and can see that consistency pays and persistence to one thing. Pretty proud of you, bro. So if anybody has anything else that they want to share, anything at all, if not, no worries. I do want to just say one last thing before I forget. I almost forgot this. I know the last call that we had, we were talking about like a Facebook group and everything. I just want to share maybe my 2 cents on it. If you guys have any feedback, awesome, let me know or let us know. But I do think that the Facebook group could be powerful. But I don't think it's a step that we need to take right now, because what we have right now is already very powerful. I mean, we have the I Am Family group chat. We have, you know, our leaders group. And then Mikey, if people want to plug in and see Social Proof, Mikey has a chat with, almost 2,000 people in it. If people want to see that are already a part of the company, plug them in that group. As far as like sharing and prospecting, guys, we have a great system. We have our Monday through Friday Zoom overviews. Like, y'all, we're killing those calls. Okay. I'm just going to be honest. Like, we're doing really, really well with those calls. We're showing people, we're getting people plugged in. The exposure process is like very to the point and simple on these. No cookie cutter, foo-foo hype. Just, this is what it is. Make a decision. Are you going to do this or not? The other thing too is with the Facebook group that we had talked about, we're going to be adding a lot of stuff on there. Well, what I was thinking is if that's where we want to go or something like that, let's start small. We have the I Am Family chat for a reason. We can post in there what we're working on, what we're actually doing right now. I mean, you see me sometimes like, this is what's going on with Swipecoin, little things here and there. I caught a trade from the Harmonic scanner. I think the biggest thing is if we all contribute, doesn't have to be every day, all the time, but throughout the week, make it apparent, okay, I'm going to post in the chat, this many times a week or whatever. But make sure that when you do, don't really post any profits, but re-edify back to the platform, back to the academy, so people know where they can create their own success. Because if we just focus on, this is what I did, well, we're creating leader-driven team instead of a team-driven team, if that makes sense. So always re-edify back to the academy so people know where to plug back into and create their own success. So if we all can contribute to that, you'll be stepping up into your role as a leader and really just showing by example. And then one last thing, what was I going to say? Oh, Zoom to Success. Yeah. Zoom to Success, y'all. These calls every Sunday, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. We're doing them every week. And I had a couple questions about these. Anybody, I'm using this lightly, but anybody can be on these calls as a featured trader. It's a Q&A, okay? So whoever's on these calls, for right now, I'm just going to be interviewing you with different questions. And what's cool is we can leverage these as team calls. So I know Caitlin and I were talking yesterday. She had asked me, I have, so-and-so on my team. Do we have any team calls that they can plug into? Yes, these ones, Zoom to Success calls, because they're designed for, people to stay on track, build their belief, and increase their results with wherever they're at in their journey. So plug them in, edify these calls, get them on, hear from other people. And if you want to be a featured trader on there, let me know. We'll schedule you in. And Danielle is going on tomorrow. So show up, show some love. I'm really excited to hear what she has to say and go through everything. Josh Gordon's going to be on the next week. So we have room after Josh if you guys want to step up and do that. But other than that, y'all, that is it for me. If anybody has any last minute stuff, please open up now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on that idea about the Facebook group. And I also have a question. Hopefully I don't forget it. I like the idea, and I know where Josh was going with it. I don't want to say we, like I put into it, but we as in like Chuck and Jonathan actually started a Facebook group to try to get people to come in from Facebook, and we would kind of they would put up like live calls, some like marking up charts, random stuff like that. But I didn't really see like anybody do anything outside of Forex, like personal development or trying to get people in like to kind of see a community. It was just more so marking charts, and I didn't really see any success with it or any kind of outcome either. I don't think anybody ever signed up or anything like that from this Facebook group. I think that you're pretty dead on the fact that there's already things in place that we can use to our advantage, where we don't necessarily need to create another community or a Facebook group, because personally, I think that it needs attention and it needs time and work, and we're already working and giving attention to something that already needs time and attention and work. And so I like the idea. It's not a bad idea. I think that if, like you said, either start small or maybe not really put too much into it because there's so much that we already have to put into in the first place. Because again, it is a great idea. People might pour into it, but it needs work in order for people to pour into it in the first place. So that's just, my take on it. And I was curious about, I don't know if this is something that you guys do or that, anybody in the group does. I remember in the past, Chance having like a compound plan for, people coming in, something that they can look at and, kind of see what the possibility is of proper risk management and actually being able to do something in the beginning while they're still learning. So I don't know if that's like something that you guys have, like a doc or anything like that, I would love to get access to, just to kind of look at it for myself and then kind of use it for other things.
I got one.
For sure. I appreciate that. And other than that, I can't really think of nothing. Sorry, I got on the call late. I was, I haven't been home since I left for the Bay in, what was it, like September? So I'm just hanging out with my folks right now. And it's kind of crazy. When I left here, I was, I was living in my van in San Francisco for a while. So I haven't been back here since I went off on that adventure. And, I don't live in that van anymore, but it's good to be back in SoCal. They got like Arizona weather down here. But
well, thanks for sharing, bro. Thanks for sharing. No, you brought up some really great points. Tony, if you want to drop what you have in the Inner Circle chat after the call, that'd be awesome, or whenever you get back safely. I think, cool. Thank you. And I think, oh, Arnold, did you raise your hand? No, Arnold.
Oh. No, you're good.
Okay. All right. Anyways, I was gonna say, Mikey has a video on like compounding that he like basically shows like a document. I need to find it. It's an unlisted video on YouTube, but he's gonna come over tonight, so I'll make sure I ask him about the video and everything. It's like cool. 5 minutes, so it's really simple. People can watch it and see like, oh wow, like this is dope. But I think I know what you're talking about. Last thing I was coming up with some things I want to say. For the Zoom to Success call, I was just going to tell you guys, you can invite, like this is not just a team call. You can invite guests or prospects or whatever to the Zoom to Success calls. Once they watch an overview, because these calls are going to give an insider look at, IM featured traders, people that have been a part of the company, successfully, trading now, have found, their kind of groove, and they're going to talk about it and touch on it. We already have recordings on my YouTube. So if you want to see how those work, before you invite somebody, check it out. Tomorrow's call is going to be absolutely insane. Daniela out in London, she's been a part of the platform for over 3 years, or about 3 years, and she's going to light it up tomorrow. So I'm really, really excited to hear from her. She's going to be a great person to hear from. And if you guys know anybody that is in Arizona, Mike Sotero is in town. And if you know who Christian Dukes is, very, very close friends with Mike. He's in the business. He works very closely with Alex Morton. They're going to be coming over to my apartment tonight and doing a training. So if you have anybody in Arizona, please let me know. Send me their information, put us in a group chat. This is something that they're not going to want to miss. And if they're not a part of the business, they'll most definitely get started afterwards with the value that they're going to share. Nothing else for me. I keep thinking of ideas that I want to share with y'all, but that's it. I appreciate everybody for tuning in once again on these Saturday calls, for regrouping. Hopefully these are helpful. You guys get value from these. You don't just show up just to show up. But let's crush it this week. We'll see everybody on tomorrow's call. Give me in group chats. Let's run up your business. Like, I'm ready to go. Trading is off the wall right now. And I appreciate you guys so much. Love y'all. Talk to you soon. Peace.